first.
Right now, and you're looking around at the fact that your conventional capability has been reduced. Your proxies have been reduced. Your main client state has been eliminated. Assad has fallen. It's no wonder there are voices saying, hey, maybe we need to go for a nuclear weapon right now. It's a risk that I'm personally briefing the incoming team on, and it's something that is the consequence not of Iranian strength, but of Iranian weakness.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the risk of Iran resuming its pursuit of nuclear weapons could be immediate, adding it could be an opportunity for President Trump to hammer out a nuclear deal with Iran. General Jack Keane joining us now to weigh in on all of this. General, thank you for taking time. Merry Christmas.
Okay, so the first thing first, the rhetoric is becoming very much of a war-like. U.S. right now, they want a war with Iran. In the past, it was just Israel. And Biden, for the last 4 years, said to Israel, no, we're not going to give you those F-35 fighter jets for you to go to Iran and attack them. In fact, he stopped the supplies of F-35 to Israel for several months. He delayed it because Israel, Netanyahu, always wanted to attack Iran. But unlike in the past, U.S. now is ready to strike Iran. This is what Jack Sullivan basically said. I'm giving briefing to the Trump administration, his team, about the situation in Iran. And according to Jack Sullivan, Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon as soon as possible because they know, according to him, they're very, very vulnerable, quote unquote, very, very vulnerable, and they could come under attack by Israel anytime. And that would also include U.S. strike on them as well. This is why they're panicking. The Zionist state and also American military, American administration, Biden administration, Trump administration. I've never seen something like this. They're beating the drum of war right now in U.S., in Capitol Hill, in Washington. They're beating the drum of war against Iran. Donald Trump would try to strike a deal with Iran to stop its nuclear program, whether it is with a negotiation, lifting sanctions, or whether it is attacking Iranian nuclear sites. Either way, he will want to end this chapter. Take a listen.
The world is facing a precipitous time when it comes to what's happening with the threat of nuclear weapons proliferating. What do you make of what Jake Sullivan had to say there?
Well, he defined the reality of what's taken place. I mean, Iran is back on its heels in a way it's never been in 44 years. Since the supreme leader and the radicals took over the country. Both of their proxies, their main proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, have been decimated. They lost their strategic platform, Syria, which was the main platform for them to be able to dominate and control the Middle East. They are defenseless at home. The military's always been weak, Griff, and the investment has been rockets and missiles for the conventional military, and obviously the same for their proxies. But the reality is, Israel has stripped away their air defense system, so the leadership in Tehran is not protected from an air attack.
Okay, so I would agree with him to a very great extent, especially after the fall of Assad. Why? Is because in the past, when Assad was in power in Syria, Russia did not have to worry about the war in Syria, or did not have to worry about anything else, so they could focus only on Ukraine. At the same time, Russia, because of that, Russia could also supply occasionally weapons to Iran, the air defense system, S-300, S-400, whatever you call them. But now Russia is not stable in the Middle East, especially in Syria. They packed up, a lot of their army left. They only have a naval base and a air base in Syria right now operating. But they do not have, this new Syrian government, when they ousted Assad, they showed that Russia really is at the moment very, very weak. They could not even protect Assad like they protected him in 2016. This is another reason why U.S. would want to attack Iran, because they know, unlike in the past, Russia cannot come to the aid and rescue of Iran. They can provide S-300, S-400, those defense system, but that's about it. Means Russia has limited help that they can provide to Iran, unlike in the past, again, where they were able to mobilize military and they have the freedom of navigation all throughout Middle East using Syrian bases. But now they're being cornered. They're now, I believe, in Libya, some of the Russian forces, and that's about it. Means if Iran gets under attack, Russia would not be able to mobilize its forces to go and defend Iran. Now, US is seeing a great opportunity that Iran cannot get help the way they would if there was no Syrian unrest taking place, and that now they have a new government. And on top of all of this, the entities, proxies, some people say, oh, why don't you call them proxies? Hezbollah, they are proxies of Iran. Iran says that. I mean, even though Khamenei, he said, no, we do not have proxies, but still he used the word proxies. There are like Iraqi militias and a lot of other entities, let's call them entities, working for Iran who are now finding themselves, especially Hezbollah, very, very vulnerable, very, very weak, because even though Israel is violating the ceasefire deal with Hezbollah almost every single day, Hezbollah is doing nothing. They're not saying, okay, forget about the ceasefire, they're violating it, we're going to attack Israel again. That is not happening. So it shows that Hezbollah's hands are tied, at least, to say the least. When they look at all of this, US now they're considering this is the weakest moment for Iran, and Iran, they know it. They know that right now they're not in a position to defend their country or to go on an attack, go on an offensive against Israel anymore. Now, when it comes to this new hype that US is trying to create, the government, where we see them always talking about Iran is getting a nuclear weapon, nuclear bomb, they will get it very, very soon because they're weak, they're vulnerable. This is total fake news. This is a war propaganda. They have launched this kind of war propaganda against Saddam Hussein in 2003, against Iraq. They have launched it in many times in the past, including, I would say, in Afghanistan. They went into Afghanistan and they went into Iraq. They went into so many other countries. So they are promoting or peddling this war propaganda, convincing their own people, because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money that will be spent on this war if they go to war against Iran, which I think very, very likely. So they're convincing with this media propaganda, somehow Iran is going to get a nuclear bomb in the next few hours, so we need to strike them right now. When it might not be the case at all. Iran might be right now not thinking about any war at all. But at the same time, I know for sure, after looking at some of the news, especially what Houthis are doing, Iran is trying to deflect it. Iran is trying to distract US and Israel from Iranian issue to the issue with the Houthis. That shows to me that Iran is also kind of like getting the idea, maybe through classified information, maybe they have some, inside information from US administration that they are going to attack us. That is also a possibility that Iran knows what is the plan of US and Israel about Iran's nuclear sites, that these will be destroyed. So Iran is definitely acting. Iran is definitely doing something. Why I'm saying this is because the Houthi missiles, the ballistic missiles, and what happened with the USS Truman, the ship where they shot down their own pilot, their own aircraft, those incidents involved high-tech weaponry usage by the Houthis that caught, according to this news, I will share that in a second, but let me actually show you here. According to this, the US, they are now baffled. How come Houthis are using this kind of technology? Where they are getting this from? It shows that Iran is now helping Houthis directly in order to, again, distract US and Israel from Iran's issue to Houthis' issue. But guys, this is what we see from US all the time. They always want to fight. They always want to go on a war. And now, under Donald Trump, that is even more likely to happen.
Nuclear sites are not, nor are there rocket and missiles production sites, some of which Israel destroyed on the last attack. So they are very, very vulnerable, and they know it. So what option does Iran have left? Move to a nuclear weapon as soon as possible. They've always wanted a nuclear weapon, been in pursuit of it for decades. Why do they want it? For the same reason other countries like them have wanted it, to guarantee the preservation of the regime. So now that they're back on the heels, this is more of a desperate situation. What is really happening? Iran is pursuing this nuclear weapon covertly at two sites, Saranjan and Parshan. Those are sites that have never been inspected by the IAEA ever. So that is ongoing. The current administration is aware of it. The incoming administration is aware of it. What are the options? I think I know where Prime Minister Netanyahu is. He wants to take down these nuclear sites sooner rather than later, and he doesn't trust Iran to dismantle the system if we use coercive diplomacy. That is the other option. Send a message to the Supreme Leader. President Trump leads that message, maybe signed by Netanyahu, and tell them he has an ultimatum. Dismantle your sites by a date certain, submit to inspections by the region, by the United States, by IAEA, UN inspectors. If you don't do that and you don't stop your malign activity in the region, then we'll cripple your nuclear enterprise using kinetic strike.
Now, this is another tangent that I also want to discuss, which is this. Because Iran is, according to Israel and US, they are the head of the snake, according to them again. They are responsible for all of this resistance axis in the Middle East against Israel. Using Iran's nuclear program as an excuse to destroy Iran would be something very, very convenient for the United States. Think about this. That way they can get rid of Iran completely, never have to worry about Hezbollah, never have to worry about the Iraqi militia, no resistance group will be there. And that way Israel can expand its territories just like it is doing right now in Syria, and they will face no resistance whatsoever. That's what they want to do. They cannot accomplish all of this without destroying Iran. So this is what they are thinking. This is the high time for them, for US and Israel, to destroy Iran, because right now Iran, again, according to their estimation, Iran is very, very vulnerable.
That, I think, is what's in front of us. I think the incoming administration, in talking to Prime Minister Netanyahu, are working the options, and they'll eventually present those to President Trump for decision.
General, a week ago on Monday, I was in Mar-a-Lago at that press conference with the President-elect Trump, and he was asked, would you consider a preemptive strike on Iran for this very reason? And he said, I'm not going to answer that. Why would I answer that question? But as you sort of lay this out, is that something that the incoming administration really needs to take a hard look, given what you know about the timeline and how fast this may be advancing?
Well, no, that's what I just said. I mean, they absolutely are looking at it, and they're working up options for the president to consider it. And I think it'll be very much in conjunction with what Israel wants to do as well. The problem the Israelis have, they do not have the...
So again, he actually made it very, very clear. Trump will do in conjunction with what Israel wants about Iran. And what Israel wants about Iran is complete destruction of the nuclear sites.
Abilities to really do the necessary damage to these sites. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen nuclear sites as part of the enterprise. And some of those are deeply buried sites with very thick walls to protect them. We have the kind of munitions that can penetrate that system. Obviously, we can give them to Israel, or we can participate with Israel in such an attack. It would not be an attack that would be comprehensive against the entire regime. I think it would be more a focused attack at dealing with this enterprise and maybe rockets and missile productions. I doubt seriously if they would go into Tehran and take down leadership targets and other targets in that vicinity, although that would be available to them. And certainly knowing that Iran is defenseless, it is a target they could strike with some confidence in accomplishing its mission. But I think it would be limited, likely, to their other strategic targets.
Okay, that is a huge blunder. He said Iran is completely defenseless. No, that is never going to happen. Even if a country is completely defenseless, it can still use its people to attack or wage a guerrilla-style warfare against any other country. So if that happens, if Iran is coming under attack, and let's say, they are defenseless, right? They will use the Iranians will take up arms. The Shia militias across the Middle East will take up arms. They are going to destroy U.S. bases, or at least try to destroy all of them. And then what? then they will come after the state of Israel. If you do not let Iran live in peace, Iranian will make sure that Israel, the Zionist state, they don't live in peace either. Guys, 2025, I am seeing a war being waged by US against Iran in the Middle East in collaboration with Israel, unless Iran will submit 100% to Trump administration's demand about those nuclear sites visit and what the future will be about that particular program.